I mean, I knew this video was going to eventually come, but literally sort of like as I was going to film it, other stuff came up, and then actually other news came in. So first off on my moan list, I guess for this time, is Activision. So the first thing that they've done is put up the price of Hearthstone packs that you can buy on the app for I think all of Europe because of financial fluctuations and everything. But some interesting things have happened. Most notably, I think it's like a 11% uniform rise across all pack levels in mainland Europe. But in the UK, some of the pack prices have gone up by, I don't know, around 50%. So I think, a $1.99 purchase for a pack of one has now become $2.99. And some of them are at the 10 or 11% like it is for Europe, but I think a pack of 50 possibly is up 20%. So yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot of uniformity in the prices, whereas it seems to be a dead fix in terms of price rises across the rest of Europe. Which I know technically, because of all the Brexit stuff, is Britain Europe, is it not? I guess for the time being it is, so we'll just leave it as that. So, yeah, price rises like that irk them off. And then the best one, at least in terms of them, is Call of Duty. They've decided to do a multiplayer map pack for Modern Warfare Remastered. This is the same map pack that was the downloadable map pack in the original Modern Warfare 10 years ago, in terms of it being the very first Call of Duty to have DLC across consoles as well as PC. Now, if you want to try and play the game in any way, shape or form, it's pretty much included, even on the standard version that you can get on Steam. It's just the standard edition, which comes with everything included. Activision have decided, after having to make you pay £60 or so, as it currently stands, I think it was like £60 or £70 for getting Modern Warfare Remastered with Infinite Warfare. And that's the only way you can still get it to this day. Admittedly, quite a few of the maps were free, but this one they're charging money for. Which, you sort of you expect from Activision, but the interesting thing that people are more pissed at is they sort of expected to pay for DLC, but they're basically looking at it and saying, well, this DLC, when you released it 10 years ago, you asked for $5. This time, these remastered maps, of course, it's 15. And also, if you bought the Season Pass, it doesn't include that stuff, because that's part of a game that wasn't supposed to have a Season Pass or DLC. Or was it? Let's be honest. Because it was always, I'd have thought, going to have all the DVDs that it was supposed to have. Or, all the DLC, sorry, not DVDs. So yeah, Activision are just really just being idiots. and to some extent so a Nintendo. So I was going to rail on them about the price of their games on the digital store, which I still will to some extent. Now that the Switch is a couple of weeks old. My main gripe is why they're so expensive. The reason that they apparently give for all these games being more expensive on consoles is they actually still want people to go to shops like GameStop or Game or Amazon or Walmart or Tesco or anywhere where you buy games. So that basically they're still in trying to encourage physical sales by making them cheaper. Even though in terms of cost terms, they make more money off a digital sale because it's directly through their store than they would with a retail sale. Keep in mind as well, nearly all of these shops, including Amazon, have the digital codes. I can tell you that I've bought at least a few PSN cards on Amazon. So obviously some part of that must go to Amazon for selling the thing, not just the money going to Sony when you spend it, sort of thing. So yeah, it's I understand the reason, and on paper it makes sense, but it also sort of doesn't. The other gripe is that some games like Shovel Knight, which should be at like an affordable $15 range, are somewhere in the region of 25, I'm not sure, 30. And that's physical media as well. Despite the fact that I think you can get a physical version of like Shovel Knight on next-gen consoles, as it currently stands, for, I don't know, somewhere in the region of possibly 10 to 15, as it is, in a physical version that's got, I don't know if it's got fancy stuff in, not sure if that's off the top of my head, but it's sort of perplexing on top of that. And then you've got everybody, you've got supposedly the problems with connectivity of controllers, with the explanation being given, or one of the advisory things saying, please don't use it too near a fish tank. So fish tanks apparently somehow affect the wireless function of the little Joy-Cons. Okay. I guess the other thing to bring up, which is just as confusing, is apparently quite a few people have been getting nasty nicks and scratches on their $280 tablets, thanks to the dock that you put the Switch in. Basically, they've been doing what the advertising and the promotions told them to do by playing it on their TV, but also playing it handheld. And turns out when they're putting it in, it's causing marks and scratches on the screen because the screen is plastic rather than glass. So obviously, because it's plastic, it can get easily marked, a lot easier than it can with glass. And from the design of what I've seen of like the little gap where the Switch goes into, it's going to rub against the screen, because it has to be obviously a snug fit in order to get with the cradle, in order to charge if it needs to via that way, or to get the connection so you can do it through the TV. It's sort of becoming rather farcical, and then you've got the good old issue of course, they haven't got any stock of them. They're saying, I think they're doubling production now because of the demand and everything, but this wave of somewhat negative publicity about the thing isn't helping. Also, I went down to my local game store, interested into seeing what the Switch was like. No demo version available for people to try. There's PS4, there's an Xbox One, there isn't a Switch. I mean, I don't want to say what, but... And on top of that, there are some reports now suggesting that playing it docked and on a bigger screen for something like Zelda Breath of the Wild makes it run worse than it does if you just have it hooked up as a portable machine. So the significant power and upgrade boost isn't happening. Basically, in order to make the image better, it actually makes performance much worse. And if this is going to be a common thing, I'm not getting my hopes up. And on top of that, the game, okay, it's pretty good games, although it's worth noting, nearly everybody has said 1-2 Switch should be like a pack-in title or a cheap game, not something that costs £40 or $40-50. Yeah, a thing full of mini games. They've charged practically full. Well, in terms of like a game on a normal next-gen console, they've charged practically full price. Because, of course, all the games on the Switch are more expensive than the next-gen things. So and I think it was Ashens when he talked about it, the physical version of Just Dance 2015 is, I think, Just Dance 2017. The physical version, I think, is somewhere in the region of £40, if not digitally. The standard version, if you shop around and look for the cheapest deals, the cheapest for PS4 and Wii and Xbox One and that is somewhere in the region of 10 to 15. So at least half, if not 2/3 cheaper in some cases than what you get on the Switch. And this is why the Switch is going to fail. It shouldn't. With a game like Zelda Breath of the Wild, which deserves all the credit that it's getting, although I can't say it's a perfect game, 10 out of 10, I don't think is right for this game. I'd certainly say somewhere in the region of, 8 or 9. High 7s if you're going to do it on 100 or a 10.0 scale, as in like 1 to 100. High 70s up to, I don't know, mid 90s. I'd say that's fair, that sort of range. So that me sort of taking a whole point at the whole Jim Sterling thing, probably. But that'll be my only mention of it. Games like that, Snipper Clips, I've heard a lot of good things about. Binding of Isaac, although it's too much, it's great to see that on another platform. And on a Nintendo thing where it'll probably work. Because I don't know how many people got Binding of Isaac on Wii U. That's good. Obviously, I think the first beta test for Splatoon 2 suddenly became accessible or showed up on the store this week. We got the promise of some Mario Kart 8 coming next month. So again, it looks like they're keeping to the trend of having one game every month to basically be sort of a must-buy, if you call it that. But I don't know. Part of me is feeling that this is somewhat too little too late, and it's going to end up a mess, and the rats are leaving the sinking ship. I don't want this to be Nintendo's. Once again, I'm saying this again because I'm trying to stress it. I don't want Nintendo to fail, just like I don't want Impact Wrestling to fail. But when you see some of the things that have happened in both cases, it makes you wonder. It's going to be a real struggle to turn this around. Sales have apparently been strong, which is good to hear, but my question is, will there be longevity to the thing? I guess the positive thing that has come out of this is apparently NES Classics are now getting cheaper in price. So, people might actually be able to afford to buy one now. At least on the second-hand market. But I don't know. There's probably a lot to go through, mainly because they've also just announced the BAFTA Video Game Awards. Nominations, that is, sorry. And they'll be coming up. I'm pretty sure it's the week after WrestleMania, so it's Easter. No, it's the week before Easter. April, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. I know the gaming convention, which I'm not going to because it's in London. They're doing that, I think, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, going on March into April weekend. WrestleMania, if you're a wrestling fan, you watch my content as well. And then the following week, last year they actually did it as part of the event, but this year they're doing it separate, and the BAFTAs will be separate from the gaming convention, but they are still supporting it in some shape or form. But that's probably your next video coming up next weekend, because the following weekend I'll probably be too knackered from all the WrestleMania stuff. So I guess in that capacity I'll be doing no gaming stuff for a few weeks. But then, of course, my excuse will be, even though I haven't got it, that I've got Mass Effect Andromeda. That'll probably be a lot of people's excuses, come to think of it. How it already is, because some people are playing the press copies. And apparently playing it even though they're supposed to be under embargo. So, shady stuff going on there. Oh, and bloody Mass Effect Andromeda has microtransactions. I can't be mad. The CEO's bloody left to become bloody CEO of a football club. Soccer club, whatever you call it. Peter Moore. I swear he's done this, and then it's like, bye, and then he's gone. It's like Dom. Well, no, I guess Dom Matrick stayed there despite all the mess of the Xbox One launch. So that isn't a good comparison. I can't even think. Not even Kojima was in that situation. Who knows? But, yeah. Something will be coming from me next week. You'll know what it is. I won't.